Hi everyone, welcome back to week 3 of the Ascend Method. Today we're talking about something that changes everything once you truly understand it, and that is clarity. Not perfection, not having your entire life figured out, not becoming someone completely different overnight. Clarity is simply learning to see yourself, your life, and your direction more honestly. Because we can lack clarity, we stay stuck. Um, Sometimes I feel like if um, you have big goals, and I love that. I love big goals. I love to tackle big things that I once upon felt like I could never do. But sometimes it almost feels too big, so you have to kind of chunk those into smaller pieces and to make it seem more attainable, so it doesn't seem overwhelming. Um, so I want to think about, we're moving through life reacting instead of intentionally creating. We say yes to things that drain us. We tolerate situations that can hurt us. And we chase goals that don't even belong to us. Now, that's a really, really big one, too. I love this one. I want to take a minute and just kind of let you think about that. Like, who are these goals that you're thinking about? Are they even yours? Are they even yours anymore? Um, I I am a true believer of in chasing your goals, but sometimes reassessing your goals. Like, is this the same thing that when I first started this shift, is this what I want anymore? Do I want something different? For example, myself, I think most of you that are following this right now, you kind of know this about me, but I have been on a huge weight loss, not just, I don't want to say weight loss journey, because it's not really what it's about. Just kind of a health and wellness and just becoming the best that I can be. The Ascend method. Like, I know that this works because I have been doing it myself for the last 5 years. I started as just seeing how much I could push myself, and then I went to a goal of mine being I wanted to be like in body weight championships, like a transformation category, and with like the bikinis and the stage performance and all of that. And I have so much respect for the women that do that. It is, and men, um, and but the more and more I started kind of leaning towards that and starting mm, honing in on that being my goal, it really didn't align with um with myself and what I needed, because you really have to. I really, really struggle with confidence. I really struggle with body dysmorphia. I struggled with, binge eating, and I've struggled with all of that stuff. And I started to work towards, the bikini stuff, and I was buying like practice suits, and I was doing the posing, and I was doing all of these things, and I found myself getting um really, what can I say? I was really negative on myself, and I was starting to like kind of nitpick, and I was starting to have doubts in myself, just because, I couldn't get my body or my back to at the right angle, or I just didn't feel like I felt comfortable in the suits. I didn't feel like my chest felt good, or my boobs, I didn't like the way that they looked, and I didn't like, and I just kept picking myself apart, and that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to, and I have gotten away from that. Like, I was starting to kind of get back into old habits and old me, and I don't want that. I don't want that at all. And again, and I love the person that can go out and do that, and not let them, not let these intrusive thoughts come in, but it was counterproductive for me at this time for my goal. So I decided to go on a different track, and I decided to find something that kind of filled my bucket a little bit better, and had more meaning to me and made me feel just kind of gave me a different motivation and purpose for what I was doing. And so now I am training to just lift heavy, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to just do like weight lifting competitions and see how heavy I can lift and stuff. And because I am naturally strong, it's something that I know about myself. And so I feel like it's just kind of more aligned with who I am as a person. And once I made that shift and I got more clear about my goals, I feel great. Like, I feel like I could take on the world. I'm training harder. I have more intentions behind when I train. I just feel better about the end game and the goal of what I'm working for. It just feels better and more aligned with my purpose. And so that's why I do think that clarity is just so important, to really focus on what you want, and reassess your goals as you are going along, because this is like a living. You have to think of it as a goal, as a living thing, a living document. It's not always going to stay the same. You are going to hopefully meet your goals, or like I said, your goals are going to change. So that's my rant about that. I'm going to go back to just some of my notes here so I don't get too off script. So, and let's see. But when the clarity starts to grow, I'm telling you, so does the confidence. Like I said, I feel so good now that I really have that clear focus of what I'm working on. I also want to kind of put out there that I think a lot of us spend years to try to become who everyone else expects us to be. And I want you to remember that we wear a lot of different masks depending on who we're around. We shrink ourselves to fit in. We over-explain ourselves. We question ourselves constantly. I know I do. I'm always questioning myself and wonder, should I have said this? I wish I would have presented myself differently, or and then eventually we wake up one day realizing I don't even know what I truly want anymore. That's why clarity matters so much, because clarity reconnects you to you. So clarity is not having every answer. Clarity is knowing what matters to you, knowing what no longer aligns, understanding your values, recognizing your patterns, becoming honest with what you need, and defining who you're becoming moving forward. So, clarity asks, what kind of life do you want? What kind of energy do I want around me? What habits are helping me grow? What habits are keeping me small? What version of myself am I feeding daily? And sometimes clarity is uncomfortable because it forces us to stop avoiding ourselves. So this is a reflection exercise that I have for everyone. So I want everyone to take a deep breath for a second. Okay? Sorry, I have a cold, so I'm all stuffed up and all groggy, so I feel like an old truck. So think about this question. If fear, judgment, and self-doubt didn't exist, what would my life actually look like? Really sit with this for a minute. Would you speak differently? Would you show up differently? Take better care of yourself? Would you set boundaries? Would you start a business? Leave the toxic environment? Can be family, boyfriend, work. There's a lot of different toxic environments, friendships. would you apply for an opportunity that maybe you don't think that you're have the credentials for, or maybe you just don't feel like, "Ugh, somebody else deserves that," with the person that you want to be, take that on. Trust yourself more, believe in your abilities to do more than what you think. Sometimes clarity already exists inside us. We've just buried it underneath the fear. Okay, so one thing I need you to understand tonight is this. Confused people stay stuck. Clear people move. Not because they're fearless, not because they're perfect, but because direction creates momentum. Even small clarity creates powerful change. Okay, so week 3 challenge assignment. This week's challenge is called Clear the Noise. Over the next 7 days, I want you to journal for 10 minutes daily. 10 minutes, ladies. I know we are busy gals and we've got a lot of things going on. I get this. 10 minutes. You can do it. I promise. So I want you to pay attention to what drains you versus what energizes you. I want you to think about those bucket dippers and those bucket fillers. Notice where you abandon yourself. Write down your non-negotiables. And most importantly, ask yourself daily, does this align with the person I'm becoming? By the end of this week, I want you to feel more connected to your own voice. You do not need to have your entire future figured out moving forward. You only need enough clarity for the next step. And every time you choose yourself, honor yourself, and listen to yourself, your path becomes clearer. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for showing up for yourself. Week 3 is remembering you are allowed to redefine your life. You are allowed to evolve. And you are allowed to become someone you are proud of. Rise, evolve, and ascend. And I also really quickly, I don't know if anybody has noticed, it's kind of blurry. I'm working on my setup here, but I found this super cute hat yesterday when I was out and about with the fam. And I thought it was super cute. And it just kind of matches and has my logo right on there. So, all right. Week 3. I did upload week 2. I found it. I don't know what happened there. But I did find it and I did upload that. So I hope you take the time and you look at that. And I hope that from here on out, my recordings the clarity and everything comes a little bit better. Again, I appreciate everybody for taking the time, supporting me through all of this, working out the kinks. And I hope that you are getting things out of this and gaining and feeling good. And I want to hear the good stuff. So reach out if you have anything to say or if you have any questions or anything like that. So, all right. Take care, guys. Oh, and happy Mother's Day.